Still playing the nice guy? How embarrassing. You still don't get the game. You think acting like a human golden retriever tail wagging, always chipper, on call 24/7, and jumping at every notification will make her want you? Cute. All you're missing is a bow around your neck. Too bad that's not how it works. Here's a truth that'll sting your nice guy ego. The more you chase, the faster she bolts. The more you show you care, the more she sees you as her emotional punching bag, great for comfort, but nobody's taking you to bed. Because her desire doesn't come from logic, it thrives on chaos. She doesn't want flowers, she wants uncertainty. Not promises, but inner turmoil. Did he ghost me, or is he just playing it cool? Vibe is the new I love you. A real woman doesn't fall for predictability. She's hooked on the gourmet emotional torture of a guy who disappears, stays silent, and seems cold enough to chill a polar bear. This guy doesn't beg, doesn't grovel, doesn't send novel-length texts. He watches her unravel like it's a low-budget Netflix series, just waiting for the predictable ending. And it's that emotional void that keeps her hooked. She craves control, and what she can't control, she can't let go of. This video isn't a rom-com playbook for suckers. It's a mental warfare manual. In the game of attraction, the one who seems indifferent wins even if inside, they're dancing a tango with their demons. Want to be unforgettable? Ghost her. Want to leave a mark? Turn into dry ice. Want to be desired? Master the art of being untouchable. Real power lies in the absence that wrecks her confidence, in the silence that makes her question her sanity, in the disregard that screams without saying a word. And if you still think being the nice guy gives you an edge, congrats, you've already lost. Let's get to it. But first, the basics of digital begging. This video exists because someone hit a button. So do your part smash that like, subscribe, and drop a thanks in the comments to trick the algorithm and keep this illusion spinning. No more stalling, time for the wake-up call. Number 1. The pushover who tries too hard is already a loser. Since you were a kid, they fed you that pathetic fairy tale. Be kind, attentive, always there. Basically, they trained you to be an emotional butler with golden retriever energy. Be the nice guy, send sweet texts, hang on her every sigh, and serve her like you're a 5-star waiter. They just forgot one tiny detail that doesn't attract anyone. It bores them to death. The harder you try to be the perfect man, the more predictable you become. And predictable, my friend, is just another word for disposable. Something that's always there, sitting in the corner, waiting. It doesn't spark desire, it sparks yawns. And guess what she does with anything that doesn't challenge her? She ignores it. She dismisses it. She swaps it out like a song on her Spotify playlist. A woman's mind doesn't run on, "Aw, how sweet." It runs on, "What the hell is this guy doing that's got me so confused and craving more?" The nice guy, he just breeds comfort. And comfort isn't attraction. Comfort is a couch, a blanket, a buddy. You might become her favorite. In the contact list, she'll never see naked. Here's the classic blunder. You give your all before the game even starts. Result? She barely remembers you exist. Because if you hand over everything up front, you're left with nothing in the end. She needs to feel the risk, the doubt, the "what if he's gone for good?" That's when her brain short-circuits. But when you act like she's the center of your universe, you unplug your own value and end up a background character in her story. What she wants isn't a puppy licking her feet. She wants someone who knows how to step back, who masters absence, who sends silence instead of roses. The pain of not having you is what ignites the desire she didn't even know she had. The truth is brutal. The more you try to be perfect, the more invisible you become. The guy who tries too hard, he's already lost. Because playing to please never means playing to win. Number 2, silence. the lethal weapon of calculated disregard. Forget flowers, heart emojis, or essay-length WhatsApp messages. What really throws a woman off her game isn't a "good morning, princess." It's silence. Cold, surgical silence that doesn't explain, doesn't justify, doesn't beg. The guy doesn't argue, doesn't defend, doesn't chase. He just shuts up. And that single move becomes an earthquake in her head. Because a man who stays silent isn't seen as weak. He's a damn mystery. And what her mind can't crack, it can't let go of. She gets caught, spiraling deeper the more she tries to figure you out. Silence becomes a mirror, reflecting her own insecurities, strutting across the stage of doubt. She doesn't want what's right there, ready to be consumed. She wants what slips away, what provokes, what vanishes, what leaves her guessing. Her ego only chills out when she's in control. And when she's not, she's a prisoner of her own pride. A smart man's silence isn't absence. It's strategy. It's high-octane emotional sabotage. He doesn't give answers. He plants questions. He doesn't ghost. He haunts her mind like a 24/7 riddle. What happened? Did I lose him? Is he over me? Boom. Obsession unlocked. While she thought she had you on a leash, now she's the one chained to her own neediness. Because the guy who stays silent doesn't need to say a word, he's already said it all. He's a phantom presence in her psyche. And the best part? He doesn't even try. He just lets her wrestle with her own fears. Women are used to guys tripping over themselves, begging for a scrap of attention. But when she runs into the guy who doesn't flinch, doesn't throw a tantrum, just vanishes at the perfect moment, she's thrown off balance. And that's when you win. Used right, silence is deadlier than any argument. It doesn't wound its scars. And by the time she realizes the damage, it's too late. Because the man who stays silent doesn't just confuse her, he owns her, without saying a single word. Number 3, reacting is surrendering, and surrendering makes you a doormat. Every guy who reacts like a pouty teenager to a jab is basically shouting, "Hey, I'm still your emotional punching bag." Reacting kills the mystery, kills the respect. It's the exact moment you go from enigmatic to predictable pushover. She pokes, you bite. She drops a subtle dig, you explain yourself. She pulls away, you chase. Congrats, you just signed your certificate of emotionally tamed. A woman who provokes isn't playing, she's testing. She wants to know if you're still her puppet. And when you react, reply, argue, or defend yourself, you confirm it. You're still hooked, still available, still begging for her approval. But the guy who watches in silence, who brushes her off like a fly buzzing by his ear, that's next level. He gets that real power is staying unshaken, not reacting. Because silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. He doesn't need to yell or send a novel-length text. He just disappears. When you don't give her the response she expects, you flip the script. You toss the ball in her court and watch her ego implode. Silence turns emotional games into psychological torture. She wanted drama. She got ignored. And nothing burns an ego that thrives on control like being completely dismissed. Here's the deal. Reacting sells you out. Silence commands respect. You don't need to explain where you've been or justify your chill. That's what guys do who still crave approval. The man who's moved on, he doesn't talk. He walks. And leaves behind something that hurts more than any comeback. Absence laced with indifference. The guy who reacts loses the mystery, loses his edge, loses the game. But the one who stays silent, he becomes an emotional ghost she can't shake. He haunts her without ever showing up. Reacting is emotional. Silence, my friend, is tactical. One's a desperate grab to win her back. The other earns respect. In the minefield of attraction, the one who feels less rules more. The one who doesn't react reigns. Now listen up, champ. Tired of being her emotional doormat? Done swallowing disrespect with a smile? It's time to ditch the soft-hearted fool act and become the stone-cold king with unshakable confidence. There's an ebook waiting for you in the description, a survival guide for the guy who's done playing the romantic clown and wants to write his own damn script. You'll learn how to be a challenge, stop being her emotional errand boy, and most importantly, stop giving a damn if she ghosts you. Because the world stomps on those who grovel. Stand up, adjust your crown, and take charge, or keep being the sucker she calls when her real choice doesn't pick up. The choice is yours. Number 4, the price of indifference, and she's the one paying. Real indifference isn't faked. It's not rehearsed. It's not an Oscar-worthy act. It happens when you just stop caring. When your emotional tank runs dry, the circus catches fire, and you don't even glance at the flames. And that, my friend, is when you become untouchable. Because indifference isn't about lacking feelings, it's about mastering them. It's feeling it all but saying, screw it. Knowing but refusing to stoop to her level. Noticing but not budging. At that moment, you become the man she can't manipulate anymore. A woman who thrives on attention short circuits when the spotlight's gone. Her ego feeds on male likes, quick replies, guys tripping over themselves to explain. When you go silent, ignore her and vanish. You're not being cruel, you're being surgical. You're saying, without words, game's over. I choose me. And that's the most devastating message she'll ever get. She can't block it. Can't argue with it. Can't beg her way out. Here's the brutal part. A woman who loses the attention of a guy who was once all in, she turns to ash inside. She doesn't miss you. She misses the power she had over you. She doesn't want the man. She wants her control back. And when she realizes it's gone, anxiety takes over. Regret eats her alive. Insecurity becomes her new normal. And you? You're chilling, watching her unravel with the calm of someone who's finally at peace. Indifference doesn't yell, doesn't block, doesn't make a scene. It just turns and walks away. And that cuts deeper than any public call-out. Because a woman used to being the center of the universe is now orbiting a guy who's a full moon, rarely seen, lights up everything, but impossible to touch. That's the real price of indifference. Spoiler, you're not the one paying. She's the one sleeping with the void you left behind. Meanwhile, you're free, finally understanding what she never did. The man who values himself doesn't beg. The one who doesn't chase becomes the absence that bleeds in silence. Number 5, the ice that turns princesses into obsessives. There's a type of man she never forgets. And no, it's not the pretty boy heartthrob or the poet scribbling love notes on napkins. It's the cold one. The emotionally frozen guy who looks like he's been through hell and walked out whistling. He doesn't react, doesn't justify himself, doesn't cry over WhatsApp. He watches, arms crossed, letting her show play out. This guy isn't here to please. He's here to make it clear who's in charge. And it's that lack of neediness that becomes her obsession. Because he doesn't bend, doesn't melt, doesn't crack under pressure. Her ego, used to guys dropping to their knees, starts crumbling under the strain. The queen of the chessboard, who always ran the game with a wink, can't even move a pawn now. And that fries her emotional circuits. You don't compliment her. You don't reply on her schedule. You don't care about being forgotten, because deep down, you know you won't be. You command presence just by staying silent. And the more she realizes she's lost control, the harder she tries to claw it back. The harder she tries, the deeper she sinks. Welcome to the obsession cycle. She replays your silence like it's a cult classic with no ending. She wonders why the hell you didn't beg, didn't chase, didn't explain. That lack of logic becomes her addiction. You don't need to yell, block, or get revenge. Just don't move. Don't text. Be the ice wall she can't climb. True coldness is like slow-acting poison, silent but devastating. It doesn't say, I don't care. It says, I've already mastered this game. Obsession doesn't come from sappy romance. It comes from the frustration of failing to break someone unbreakable, from losing control over a guy who tossed the reins in the trash. The cold man isn't just remembered. He's an emotional scar with a name. She doesn't want you back. She wants the power she lost. And guess what? That's gone for good. Number 6, the reversal, when she tastes her own poison. Most guys live like clearance sale romantics, chasing, texting, trying to prove they're different, as if that's a prize. Trying to win over a woman who never wanted to be won, just wanted control. But then comes the turning point. The sacred moment when you just stop being her emotional clown. You go quiet, ghost her, stop replying the same day, stop drooling over her posts, stop caring, and poof, the game flips. Because her spoiled, gold spoon-fed ego can't handle indifference. Silence is pure poison. Disregard, a subtle torture. When the guy who was always there, always attentive, always available, vanishes without a word, her alarm bells go off. She panics, because her supply dried up. Her ego's pet is gone. Where's the automatic "good morning"? The 3-second reply. The "how's your day, gorgeous"? It's all gone. And with it comes the meltdown. Now she's wondering if you've moved on, if you're with someone else, if you still think about her. Spoiler, it doesn't matter, because what's really burning is her ego, not her heart. Her certainty that you were hers, now it's doubt. Her pride collapses like a poorly built house. Suddenly, she's dropping desperate, "Hey stranger" texts that reek of neediness. Posting vague stories, checking in at places you used to hit up, liking your old pics like she's sending an SOS. But here's what's different now. You don't bite. Because the guy who's emotionally checked out doesn't come back to play games with someone who's all bluff. He doesn't fall for likes, hints, or half-baked apologies. He watches, cold, calm, ruthless. Because he gets it. Well-timed silence is a heat-seeking missile against emotional games. And the man who masters his emotions, he owns the board. She's not chasing you out of love. She's chasing a bruised ego. Because she can't wrap her head around losing control of a guy who used to act like her trained puppy. Now you're everything she wants, and exactly what she'll never have again. Game over. Let her chase. You? Just watch her silent desperation from the sidelines. Number 7. Attraction isn't begged. For it's commanded with confidence, not whining. Every guy who desperately tries to be wanted starts with a leash around his neck. Because real desire doesn't come from the dude who's drooling, complimenting, groveling for attention. It comes from mystery. From the "why the hell doesn't he care?" From the guy who commands attention with a glance, not a needy text. But here's where desperate guys screw up. They think being noticed means being the loudest cheerleader. Always available, always attentive, always there, and always ignored. Because the more you try to prove your worth, the more you show you don't believe in it. Attraction isn't begged for, my man. It's sparked. With absence, with coldness, with that glorious unpredictability. The truly attractive guy, he's not chasing approval. He couldn't care less about it. He doesn't adapt, doesn't mold himself, doesn't try to fit into some Prince Charming fantasy. He is who he is. Take it or leave it. And that's not arrogance, it's confidence. Confidence is what separates the unforgettable from the guy she forgets in 2 swipes. Want to be desired? Stop running after her like some emotional flower delivery guy. Stop trying to convince her you're worthy. The worthy don't need to prove a damn thing. They command. With calm, with silence, with a look that says, "I'm here because I want to be, not because I need to be." The guy who commands doesn't need to be the hottest, the richest, or the friendliest. He just needs to be steady, scarce, and cool at the right moments. Because what's scarce becomes luxury. What's always around? Just table decor. Why aren't you desired? Because you give yourself away before anyone asks. You pour yourself out before you're valued. You show up so much you blend into the background. Desire kicks in when your absence outweighs everyone else's presence. When your coldness throws her off. When she's left wondering, chewing on her own ego. What does this guy have that no one else does? The answer, control. And control, my friend, is the ultimate aphrodisiac in the attraction game. She doesn't want the predictable nice guy. She wants the enigma who doesn't bend, who doesn't beg, who doesn't sell himself for a crumb of attention. She wants the guy who vanishes and leaves a void no one else can fill. That guy doesn't need to shout. He just exists, and that's more than enough. Number 8. Conclusion. The power lies in vanishing without warning and leaving her pride in ruins. Want to know what really owns the game? It's not the guy with smooth talk, Valentine's Day poetry, or gift-wrapped trinkets. It's the one who shuts up, who ghosts, who doesn't warn, doesn't explain, doesn't look back. He doesn't need to yell to be heard. His absence screams for him. He doesn't leave a memory. He leaves a void. Not just any void, the kind that eats her alive. What she feels isn't nostalgia. It's the pain of losing the control she thought she'd always have. While emotional suckers are out there rehearsing their next grand gesture to get noticed, the guy who gets the game, he's already on a new board. He doesn't want attention, doesn't need validation, doesn't care about approval. He just lives, and lives a hell of a lot better without her. She tries pulling him back with a subtle jab. Silence. Tries baiting him with a story. Ignored. Tries playing the ego card. Crushed. Because real power is not reacting. It's turning disregard into an art form. It's being remembered as the puzzle she could never solve. This guy doesn't need likes, replies, or please come back texts. He's absence with a capital A, the standard that ruined her expectations. No one else will measure up because no one else has the guts to vanish without a performance. She'll try to replace you. She'll look for what she lost in someone else. She'll play her usual games. But she'll learn too late that a real man doesn't repeat, doesn't clone, and definitely doesn't come back. He's not a memory. He's an emotional scar with swagger. And while she's trying to figure out where she lost him, he's already the impossible standard. The ghost no one can exorcise. Because the man who vanishes in silence lingers as a wound in the quiet. If you haven't learned this yet, keep playing the romantic fool. Because the throne, my friend, already has an owner. And it's not the guy who begs. It's the one who shuts up, walks away, and never looks back.